Tom Brady and the fan base in New England still basking in the glow of that win. Tom Brady went to Instagram to say this: "It's hard to believe a week has passed since 51. It's hard to believe the game is only 60 minutes. It's harder to believe I've been a Patriot for 17 years. What happens on the field with my teammates in front of our family and fans is almost impossible to describe. It's mythical for me, and yet it's real. And it's why I'll never stop as long as I'm able." Wow. He will never stop as long as he's able. We welcome in Tom Waddle. He joins us now on SportsCenter Coast to Coast. Tom, so that was the question. There are those who are of the belief that, look, Tom, you got number 5. Why not just retire now? How long do you expect Brady to compete at a high level?
Carrie, is 50 too outrageous of a suggestion? Look, George Blanda did it to the age of late into 48, almost 49. In all seriousness, I say he's got at least 3, maybe 5 years. I think 3 to 5 years is doable for him, barring any type of injury. He can still make every conceivable throw. We saw that on display last Sunday at the Super Bowl, where he was 21 of 27 for 246 yards and a touchdown in just the fourth quarter and the overtime period. So I don't think his play has dropped off at all. And as I mentioned, barring any type of injury, I don't see him going away anytime soon.
Okay, so why has he been able, in your opinion? I mean, I hear the stories. I sleep 9 hours a day. He rests. He does all the things. He eats right. He does everything you're supposed to do. But what is it? Father time. I was going to say Mother Nature. Father time, undefeated. How is he able to stay at this level?
Well, I don't know any guy that's got 3 or 4 kids is able to sleep 9 or 10 hours a day. But Tom,
I hear you're right.
Yeah, that's a different story. Look, first and foremost, he does take great care of his body, and he hasn't had a significant injury since he tore his ACL back in 2008. In fact, I don't believe he's missed a game due to injury since that knee injury. So, physically he's in great shape, and he doesn't have to rely on great players around him to elevate his play. He makes everyone inside that offensive huddle better. I believe Nate Solder, their left tackle, is the only first-round pick in that offensive huddle this past Sunday at the Super Bowl. So as long as they continue to protect him and he continues to get rid of the ball quickly, I think he can play for an indefinite period of time.
Well, you're right. He has not missed any games. And it's interesting because you just gave us the key to what Belichick plans to do in terms of when he decides to build that roster. It is to protect Brady, right? Yes. All right. So listen, after the Super Bowl, Tom Brady said this. I want to get your take. He spoke Monday morning quarterback. He says, "The Super Bowl is a strange game. The defenses have a hard time stopping the offense at the end in every game." Is that true? Would you agree with his assessment?
Well, it sounds like a prisoner of the moment comment, but look, Tom has played in 7 of these and won 5, so far be it from me to fade what he is saying. I think if you look at that game a week ago, that was more a product of the Falcons' defense being left on the field for almost 100 plays. I think they wore down. We saw that certainly in the fourth quarter and end to the overtime period. If you go back to Super Bowl 50, the Denver Broncos and Carolina Panthers, I don't think that was the case. I believe those two teams combined for 11 total fourth quarter points. So I think it's you have to look at each game on an individual basis. But as I said earlier, if Tom says so, then I'm going to believe with what he says and I'm going to ride with it.
Why would you believe what he says? Because he's won 5 Super Bowls, you say?
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that'd be Exhibit A.
All right. Well, then how about this? Let's do an Explain Yourself. Do you watch the show we do, Explain Yourselves? I want you to be a part of this.
Okay.
This, my friend, this is about Bill Belichick. You know, he always talks about not taking days off, but this is his doppelganger. Does that man not look like him? He's at the Temple Memphis basketball game. Does he not look exactly like Bill Belichick? Look at them, twins. That could be him.
He does, but he still has his sleeves on his hoodie, so I'm not sure it's a...
He has sleeves on his hoodie, so it's not... Oh, okay, so he didn't go all the way. David, he didn't go all the way. He didn't fully commit.
He did not fully commit, but that's as close as I've seen in terms of a lookalike for Bill Belichick. He's got the same demeanor, that's for sure. Yes. And I don't know if he is playing to the camera at this point or he's just naturally a grumpy guy. But I like the comparison for sure.
Oh, my God.
Look at
David.
That expression. You got to have a dour expression to nail the Belichick. And this guy has got, the stiff upper lip and just sort of the serious, downcast eyes.
I will say this, though. He is taking a day off because he's at a basketball game. He's
Yes.
not in the office working, so there's a difference for you.
Yes, yes. Explain yourself. You're correct. I didn't get that. Is correct. He's hanging out, so he's actually probably not Bill Belichick. David, what did you like? 50 years old? Tom Brady playing till he's 50?
Listen, he eats, what does he eat? Avocado ice cream? Come on. As Tom says, Exhibit A. This guy takes care of himself. Who knows? He certainly is going good right now. We got our NFL insider, Adam Kaplan. We know Brady's going to be the Patriots quarterback.
Yes.
There are some other veteran QBs, well-known names, that the future's a little cloudier. Let's start with Jay Cutler. What does his next season look like? Where might he wind up?
All right, David, let's look at the current situation as we know it. First of all, he's signed through 2020. All of the guaranteed money has been paid in his contract. There's just $1 million of bonus proration left in his deal. That means it would be dead money. So they can move on from him, the Bears could, and there'd be like no penalty. Now, I think at the very least, I think you're going to see a younger developmental quarterback if they would bring Cutler back. They've got to finally develop that younger guy based on Cutler's injury history. We talked about Tom Brady playing until 40 years old, 41, 42. Jay Cutler now is getting toward his mid-30s, so they have to start looking toward the future sooner rather than later, which I think they're going to do.
Is Cutler still a starter in the NFL today?
I think the thought around the league, Dave, is that he is. But you can't just go with him and think, okay, he's our guy, we're not worried about the backup. You have to have a backup who go in there and keep things status quo. You just can't take a chance based on his injury history that he's going to finish the season.
Okay, let's go to Tyrod Taylor, who was benched late in the year by the Bills. What does his future look like?
All right, Dave, here's the situation right now. When you look at his contract, they're going to owe him, if they roll over his option, $30.5 million that they fully guarantee once they would roll it over. The thought is that they're not going to roll it over. And there was a report from the Buffalo News saying that Tyrod doesn't even want to renegotiate his contract. So the bottom line is most people think they're going to move on from him. But the problem with the Bills is if they do, you have Cardale Jones, who's really seen around the league as a developmental quarterback who's probably not going to be ready. Very raw, but he's got the size and a great arm. But he needs further development. So you would think that the Bills would bring in another quarterback. I think that's the thought from talking to people. And then the question would be, where would Tyrod end up? Tyrod's going to want to start. He's still very young. And talking to a couple teams that played him last season, they thought he could start. They thought he should probably start this season. So Tyrod will find a job where at the very least he can compete. But right now it doesn't look great for him to return in Buffalo.
Okay, let's move on to Colin Kaepernick, who's been sort of a figure both on and off the field that there's been a lot of discussion about. What's his NFL future right now?
David, when Adam Schefter and I reported this story back several months ago when he signed his deal, the thought was that he was going to opt out of his contract. He got the opt in his contract, not the club. That was why Colin was willing to restructure his contract. So you could expect him to opt out. Now, John Lynch, the new GM, did say that Colin reached out to him. I don't think that's going to make much of a difference. The 49ers are yet another team. I've listed 6 teams that I think will be looking for a new starting quarterback. The 49ers will be one of them.
Okay. Is 6 a high number? Or is that
a little bit higher than usual, usually 3 or 4. It's just the Jets, the uncertainty. The Browns, every year, David, as we know it, they're looking for a quarterback. We mentioned the Bears. I think they're probably going to be a mix. The Bills. The Jets, obviously, despite Christian Hackenberg, he's just not going to be ready yet to be the starter. And Ryan Fitzpatrick's, his contract's up. And don't forget about Geno Smith. His contract's up. He's coming back from a torn ACL. So when you really look at this deal with starting quarterbacks, it's just not enough available. That's why Deshaun Watson's value in the draft is higher than expected.
Okay, I know Wednesday is the day you can put the franchise tag, the transition tag on guys. What's going to happen with Kirk Cousins in D.C.?
Well, the bottom line is here, when you look at Kirk Cousins, he's going nowhere. The Redskins have made that clear. They don't want to pay him $25 million a year.
That's what the number would be.
I mean,
if they
it's
put
just
the
under 20.
tag.
Yeah, it's just under $25 million a year. They don't want to pay him that going forward year after year after year. The thing is, the leverage here is all with Kirk Cousins. He could just play on the tag again, and it's fully guaranteed at signing. Now, the following year, David, for 18, I mean, you're looking at the third year of a franchise tag, a 44% increase. They can't do that because over 3 years, David, you're looking at $78 million. $78 million. He's got the leverage here. I mean, and you know what? It's not anyone's fault.
So they need to get him to
They need to get this done. But, David, the problem is I've been dealing with this thing for a year. It's not impossible. Very difficult to find a middle ground here because if you're Kirk Cousins, you know going by year to year, you get that money. Now, from the club standpoint, you hate that the cap number is so high. You want to get that, you want to massage that, get that lower. You cannot massage a franchise number. Once it's signed, that's the number you play on.
Okay. Lot to talk about with quarterbacks this year in this offseason in the NFL. Our insider, Adam Kaplan, here with us.